Welcome back to Danielle Inspires. I'm excited about this week's message because it speaks to occasions in my life when plan A was supposed to work and it didn't, and I had no idea what to do next. Before we continue with this week's juicy content, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, leave a lovely comment, and smash that alert button so that you are aware of new content as soon as it is released. I'm bringing you fresh topics each week, and today is no exception. So be sure to share this video with those you care about. Now on to today's topic. Do next. The topic of it's not working, what's next brings to mind a scene from Waiting to Exhale. Did y'all see that movie, Waiting to Exhale? There was this scene where Angela Bassett's character, Bernadine, proclaimed, "My marriage was supposed to work," as she processed the fact that her husband wanted a divorce and was leaving her for another woman. In Bernadine's mind, in my mind, and perhaps yours, when plan A is supposed to work, there's no plan B. What's next isn't in the picture because this, whatever it is supposed to work, period. Realistically, we know there are few guarantees in life. I've heard people say death and taxes are all you can truly count on. Those two things are certain, but I want to add two additional items to the list of guarantees. Number one is God. He is the God who was and is to come. He is the same yesterday, today, and forever, consistently infallible, loving, and forgiving. So even after we pass from this life, God continues on majestically eternal on earth as it is in heaven. Number two is change. I guarantee change will come. Maybe not the change you want, maybe not change for the better, but everything and everyone on earth is temporal and subject to change. Depending upon what side of change you're on, that could sound like good news or bad news. At another place in time, our plan A might have worked perfectly, but we can't totally factor change into the equation because we don't have the full picture of when change will happen, nor their implications. You can change and not know it, while others around you might notice that there's something different about you. Time is always changing, always moving us towards something else. We simply cannot adequately plan to account for all variables when formulating plan A. You've probably heard people say, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. I don't necessarily agree with that sentiment because to move through life without a plan to succeed means you have a plan to fail. And God would rather have you reaching for better than backsliding or sidestepping towards worse. We humans make plans, but the Lord has the final word. There are many reasons your plan A might not work, two of which have to do with God and change. Joyce Meyer said something that continues to stick with me. She said, you have to make room for God to play through, which is a reference to golf, but also to yield the right of way while driving. You have a plan regarding your life and the timing of events, and God has a plan for you as well that will unfold in time. If some aspects of your plan truly aren't in your best interest, then God will lead you in a different direction. Yet, it's up to you to yield the right of way to him and follow his lead. I know your plans are amazing. In theory, they should work. But honestly, there could be many unexplored reasons explaining why it didn't work. Thomas Edison built a research lab in Menlo Park, New Jersey. This was the first business or institution with the sole purpose of inventing. Though he was often ridiculed, Thomas Edison made over 10,000 attempts before finally demonstrating the world's first working light bulb in 1879. Asked by reporters, how did it feel to fail 10,000 times? Edison replied, I have not failed 10,000 times. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work. If you come up with a good idea for something that might work to improve your life, and then you try to implement that idea and it doesn't work, well, that makes you like Thomas Edison, a researcher and experimenter. You hypothesize and then you tested your hypothesis. You're a life scientist experimenting with ways to improve your life and perhaps the lives of others. You might fail 10,000 times or more at creating the life you were born to live. And you might successfully find 10,000 approaches to change that did not work for you. Thomas Edison embraced the unknowns in science in the process of successfully inventing something worthy of his God-given talents. He built a lab and devoted himself and his resources to the process of inventing, not knowing whether he would be successful or not. His genius remained active after Plan A did not work. In fact, he went from Plan A to Plan B to Plan C and through every single alphabet thousands of times. So how is it that most people get stumped when Plan A doesn't work? How is it that they can't even fathom a Plan B when Plan A goes off the rails? Why do we stop short of success when someone like Thomas Edison has fuel in his tank to keep going and going and going like the Energizer Bunny? Was he built different, perhaps? Well, yes, we're all built different since we're all unique, but we are also built the same. We are all created in the image and likeness of God. You and I were built to create and to do good in this world. We have a mandate on our lives to be fruitful and to multiply, to create abundance and teach younger generations how to build upon our good works. You are a creator endowed with the power to bring God-sized changes into the world for the betterment of mankind. Thomas Edison understood and embraced his power to create. And he used that power every day, day after day. To him, failure meant not trying at all, which is why he said, I have not failed 10,000 times. I've successfully found 10,000 ways that will not work. You can't really fail 10,000 times. My answer is absolutely not. You can't. You can try 10,000 times, but you really only fail once, and that is when you stop trying. Each attempt at creating provides useful information needed to try something different. Plan B doesn't have to be radically different from Plan A. You might not need to totally scrap Plan A. Plan A is really a good starting point because it got you started, priming your genius. Your genius has to be at work to work. You have to get started somewhere, trying something. And when I say genius, I'm not referring to intellectual brilliance. In fact, people don't even call you brilliant until you've been successful. While you're in the process of creating something unheard of, you're considered crazy. They think you've lost your damn mind to think that the impossible is possible. Being created in the image and likeness of God is the equivalent of being branded for success. You're branded for success, molded to prevail against the odds and to move against the grain of what's normal and possible. You are divinely equipped to do the impossible, or rather to prove what is possible. You are a unique expression of God, and those who observe your life can see God if you allow God to express himself through you. The people in your life who say they haven't seen God make that confession because they haven't seen the real you. They haven't seen your genius at work. Thomas Edison lived in a realm of the impossible, and he built his whole life around proving what is possible. Out of his New Jersey laboratories, which were themselves inventions, thoroughly equipped and fully staffed, came 1,093 patented inventions and innovations that made Edison one of the most prolific inventors of all time. The average person, who really isn't average, by the way, doesn't think of herself as an inventor, scientist, or explorer. She considers herself to be an average person living an average life, and therefore does not create room for God to play through and express himself through her. The average person, who really isn't average, by the way, won't go against the grain. He or she settles for what is at the expense of what could be, and lives just enough to appear alive. People who live beneath their potential aren't building anything, nor creating anything, nor investing in others who want to explore the unknown. In fact, they shun those who try to do something different from the norm. They don't want you to rock the boat because their comfort and safety comes from resisting change. However, the riskiest thing any of us can do is resist change. Thanos might not be inevitable, but change is. Whether you label change good or bad is irrelevant and won't prevent change from coming your way. Instead of resisting change, you and I could become purveyors of change. We could bring change into the world on a regular basis. And to do so, we need to turn our homes into laboratories and open our lives to wondrous possibilities. The genius in you needs a laboratory to work in. Such an environment sets the expectation in your mind to try new things, to see what results they will bring. Some of the greatest scientific breakthroughs have been accidentally discovered from within a laboratory. One of the biggest medicinal breakthroughs in history came about entirely by accident. Sir Alexander Fleming interrupted his experimentation with the influenza virus for a 2-week holiday, and when he returned, he found that a mold had started to grow, which deterred the virus. Penicillin was born and is now used to treat everything from acne to pneumonia. Originally aiming to develop a treatment for angina, Pfizer found their new prototype drug was igniting erections in men during the test, and thus Viagra was born. As World War II was drawing to a close, engineer Percy Spencer was attempting to develop energy sources for radar equipment. While that didn't work, Spencer did realize the chocolate bar in his pocket had melted, and went on to test his accidental invention, the microwave, by making popcorn. Your laboratory is just a workspace where you allow your genius to run wild and free. It's a space where you take the time to think about the life you want to create. Remember, you are a life scientist, discovering new ways to live better and feel better about life. Having a specific space in your home where you create and cause magic to happen will rewire your mind to try something new and observe the results. If you're dead set on seeing a certain result, you will blind your mind from appreciating the results achieved. Even if you did not achieve the intended results, you still need to make note of what happened, because those clues will ultimately lead you to the answers you want or the answers you need to solve another mystery. I'm very goal oriented, so I understand having a strong desire to drive for certain results. I love the sense of achievement I get from doing what I said I would do. But while thinking through content for this episode, I realized that I'm not leaving room to try regardless of the results. I mean, there's more to life than winning every game. So this week's power move for me and for you is to create space to experiment, explore, research, observe, and adapt. In other words, for this week's power move, we will build a laboratory. My laboratory can't be my office because my office is a space where I achieve the results I desire. It's a space where I succeed and win. So I've decided to designate my garage as my laboratory. It's not totally organized yet, but I have places to sit and think and try new things. I also have to put coming into my laboratory on my schedule because most of the time I spend is in my office, where achieving my desired results is important and failure isn't an option. Which is why sometimes I struggle to come up with plan B when plan A fails. Going forward, when plan A fails and I can't see plan B, I'll go into my laboratory, observe the findings from plan A, and use them to develop plan B. And I will continue to go into my laboratory to experiment, explore, research, observe, and adapt based on each discovery. I'm certain now that each time I walk into my laboratory, I will be a better person. I will, in fact, become the person who tries and tries and tries, like Thomas Edison, and never fails. Why don't you join me by doing the same thing in your home? Find a space for your laboratory and leave me a comment and let me know which space in your home has become your laboratory. Thanks again for joining me for another episode of Danielle Inspires. I'm Danielle Rittman, wishing you and yours happy Thanksgiving and safe travels if you're visiting family this weekend. Until we meet again, be bold, be great, and be inspired. See you soon. Thank you for joining me for another week of Danielle Inspires. If you haven't done so already, be sure to like this video, subscribe to my channel, hit the alert button so that you are aware of new content as soon as it is released, and share this inspiration with those you love. See you next week.